Mmm, good smell, flavor.
Hey, what up anyone who's watching? This is View with Ice and I'm yet again talking about my favorite anime of all time, and this time I want to highlight some of Franky's best moments. One thing about me is that I love every single Strawhat Pirate, and that is why I have to give some respect to Franky today, because sometimes I feel he doesn't get the level of respect that he deserves. Like and subscribe for more anime related content, and even if you don't like, subscribe because maybe I'll make a video that will cater to your needs. Franky vs Luffy was the official introduction of the future crew member. We of course got to see Franky in a few scenes before this, but this fight is where we finally got to see him in action. And it was actually a great little encounter. I always wish the fight went on slightly longer. I know Luffy would have come out on top if the fight dragged on too long, but I love this clash. Franky actually felt like a decent force during this time in the story. After this, it always felt like it went a little downhill with the Super One. He of course has some intense moments, but I just feel like we should have gotten a little more. The majority of the time, Franky is just back there for comical relief, so much so that sometimes I feel we forget that he can be a badass. But Oda decided to remind us in Wano. We have to remember that Franky is the same guy who stood in front of a sea train as a kid. He almost died, but later on would save himself and also rebuild himself. Franky has always been a beast. We just most often see his goofy side. But he would display how cold he was when he drove his motorbike in the face of a Yonko while singing songs with Brook and also saving Nami in the process. It was a quick moment, but it showed us yet again the massive balls on Franky. Enies Lobby is an arc that I feel I never shut up about, but what is there to shut up about? It is one of those arcs where there isn't a single moment you want to miss, and the next one stays true to that statement. In typical One Piece fashion, and like most or all fights in this video, there is a lot of comedy in this fight, but when the comedy subsides and the action begins, it is peak One Piece entertainment. This fight established Franky as a real threat, because even though Fukuro is not the strongest CP9 agent, he was still a relative force to be reckoned with and gave this Super One a decent fight. But the future shipwright of the Strawhat Pirates would display his grit and resilience and take down the government agent. Every time I rewatch this fight, I wish Franky could have stayed the same. This version of Franky just felt the best to me. Like, I never or will never hate post-time script Franky, but if I were to choose between the two, this would be number one. It almost feels like the last time we got a monster level moment from Franky was in Dressrosa, but he, like the majority of the crew, got their moments to shine in Wano. Franky and Sasaki was a solid one-on-one encounter. The only bad thing about this fight is that it just felt a little bit short. Sasaki also showed yet again how incredibly tough and durable ancient Zoan users are, and I may be wrong, but this was the first time that General Franky was damaged in a fight. That just showcasing that Sasaki was a worthy opponent, but Franky pulled himself together and took down the Triceratops. As far as upgrades go, Franky has basically been the same since the start of the time skip. He has made a few upgrades, but I don't feel that it is enough. General Franky is really powerful because he has been using it for a long time, and every time he uses it, he manages to get the job done. But even though I highly enjoy this fight and I basically never get tired of Franky, I would love for him to get a substantial upgrade since we are moving into the final stages of One Piece. As far as fights go, this is without question his best fight. This fight was so great that till this day, I still hear people talk about it. In an arc where a lot of other things could have overshadowed a character like Franky, his fight with Senior Pink stood the test of time. Senior Pink's backstory also amplified this fight even more. Backstories are sometimes the fuel a fight needs to go over the edge and be more incredible, and that is exactly what happened here. This fight could have gone a completely different direction. Franky and Senior Pink could have chosen to fight a different way, but both characters wanted to prove who was the manliest. They wanted to prove who was the most hard-boiled. When I think about Franky versus Senior Pink, Don Fry versus Yoshihiro Takayama somehow always comes to mind. Both characters just putting it all on the table and giving everything they have to see who would be the final one left standing. I am still waiting on the day where Franky gets a moment that will top this. The way Franky gets treated, I am not sure if he will ever get something as epic as this again. If he doesn't get another incredible showcase like this, I'll be disappointed, but I'll just be happy that Franky versus Senior Pink happened in the first place.